As Ernie Beebe looks back over his almost half century as a high school teacher, he can be confident he and his students got their money's worth. Over a 49-year teaching career that started with 3 years at Archbishop Mitty High School in San Jose, California, and continued at Villa Duchesne High School for a year, and eventually 45 years at Rosary and now Trinity, Mr. Beebe has done a little bit of everything. In addition to teaching all levels of religion, Mr. Beebe, who is a registered nurse, also taught health and bridges classes. He coached freshman football for a year, freshman basketball for a season, boys golf for 20 years, and girls golf at Visitation Academy for 7 years. He was the moderator of the National Honor Society for 4 years and has led the health club at Trinity the last 5 years. Mr. Beebe has been married to his wife Shelley for 45 years, and they have 4 children: Matt, Kristen, Ryan, and Heather, and 9 grandchildren: Emmett, Bennett, Ethan, Lila, Lily, Audrey, Ernie, Adam, and Emma. 2 things Mr. Beebe will remember fondly are a graduation ceremony for Jacob Heiligestein in the chapel at Trinity because Jacob could not graduate with his class, and dancing the waltz with Colleen Ahrens in front of the whole Trinity student body. You can bet Mr. Beebe will continue his ballroom dancing in retirement, and he also plans to work on his golf game and bowl, play his guitar, evaluate his coin collection, go to church, work on his lawn, and play video poker. He can't wait for this summer when he'll join his first group of students in California for their class reunion. Thanks, Ernie, for all you've done for your students over the years. We know they are grateful, and we will forever be grateful.
Mr. Beebe, I'm going to miss him so much. He's always so funny. He's got a story or a dance move, and he's the lunchtime entertainment. So I'm really going to miss him, and I hope he has a great time being retired.
What I'm going to miss most about Mr. Beebe, definitely the way he taught. He made you be more creative in the projects he gave us, and the way he made us kind of almost teach ourselves.
Ernie, I'm really going to miss you in prayer group. You are so inspiring. Your faith is unshakable, and I appreciate that. I'll miss you, buddy.
Mr. Beebe, congratulations on your retirement. You are one of my favorite teachers to ever walk through Trinity Catholic. Much success.
I will remember Mr. Beebe most for his unusual but incredibly effective compliments. He has a way of complimenting you in an unexpected but delighted way that can just totally make your day better, and I will very much miss that.
When I think about Ernie Beebe, I just think about his unique perspective on the world, and it's entirely different than my own. So when he comes out with a particular thought, maybe when we're in a faculty faith sharing or just in general at a faculty meeting, I often think, what is it like to be Ernie Beebe? How does he come up with these thoughts? But Ernie just keeps me on guard, and I'm really going to miss him, his way of looking at the world.
As Trinity students watch the daily television broadcast of 3 in the morning each day, it might be easy for them to take the program for granted. They see it every day, and broadcasts like this have become commonplace in high schools these days. What Trinity students need to remember, though, is that 25 years ago, a program like 3 in the morning wasn't even thought of in area high schools. Our own Mr. Dan Reardon changed that. During his years at St. Thomas Aquinas Mercy, Mr. Reardon came up with the concept of student-produced television shows to make the morning announcements and to entertain students. That show at Aquinas Mercy was the first of its kind in the St. Louis area. Since he began teaching in 1967, Mr. Reardon has helped broaden the communications curriculum at St. Thomas Aquinas, Aquinas Mercy, and eventually Trinity. Teaching classes such as interpersonal communication, media interpretation, radio and TV production, student publications, desktop publishing, video production, multimedia and app writing, and along the way he taught English, speech, and fine arts as well. Mr. Reardon also coached the 1978 Aquinas State Championship golf team, led teams to numerous golf tournament titles, and coached many state qualifying golfers. In addition, he coached boys track, boys freshman, JV, and varsity basketball, and freshman, JV, and varsity football at Aquinas, and he's been yearbook moderator for over 15 years. Mr. Reardon won't slow down in retirement. He plans to continue as the PA voice of UMSL men's basketball. He will continue to cover golf on KMOX radio and write online for CBS. He also hopes to continue to make a contribution somewhere in the world of education. Mr. Reardon, your contributions to young people have been many over the past 51 years. While we are sad to say goodbye, we will always remember you, and your legacy will live on every morning at 8 a.m. when we tune in to 3 in the morning.
The thing I'm going to miss most about Mr. Reardon is his unique sense of humor and the fact that he often is the only one that finds something he says funny. I enjoy how much he enjoys how funny he is.
Mr. Reardon taught me how to use an Apple laptop. When I came to Trinity, I had no idea how to do anything, and he showed me what I needed to know. So I'm grateful to him and all his dedication to technology at Trinity, and I know he's going to enjoy retirement and do great things.
One big memory that I'll always have about Mr. Reardon is last year when I was on the golf team and we couldn't go to a golf course because it was raining, so we had a golf practice indoors in the library, and Mr. Reardon just didn't seem to care where people were swinging or when they were hitting, because he was just walking in front of all the golf balls that were flying across the room. So it was really funny.
My favorite memory of Mr. Reardon is that he actually taught my mom and Mrs. Garrett's dad at Aquinas, and apparently back then some students called him Slick. So Mrs. Garrett and I found this nice picture in the yearbook, wrote Slick at the bottom, and put them up around school. His retaliation for that was this and this, but I think we won.
I want to thank you for always pushing the faculty and staff outside their comfort zone and teaching us new things with technology. But I especially want to thank you for converting me to be an Apple person, and that was no easy task.
When we closed the place on Dunn Road at Aquinas, and we had Drake and we had Stefan, and then we had Dan Reardon as our commencement speakers that year. And Dan, he just hit it out of the park. I'll never forget that speech, and I'm going to forget the particulars, but how it touched my heart and how it really gave me an insight to how Dan felt about the school and about our community.
It's been 53 years since Jerry Seisner walked into Rosary High School as a wide-eyed freshman student. He probably didn't realize then the amount of time he would spend in that building. Counting his 4 years as a high school student and his subsequent years as a teacher at both Rosary and Trinity, Mr. Seisner has spent 44 years in the building where he started high school back in 1965. Whatever area of history or social studies Mr. Seisner took on during those 40 years, he used his humor, exuberance, and outgoing personality to instill the love of learning in the young people he taught. He wasn't just a teacher, though. Mr. Seisner coached football at Rosary for a decade and spent 2 decades coaching girls soccer at Rosary, winning a state championship along the way. For years, Mr. Seisner has also been a fixture at the basketball scorers table running the clock. Supporting him on his educational journey has been his wife, Teresa, who is also a teacher. She has taught at St. Ferdinand Grade School in North County for 40 years as well. Mr. Seisner had the unique experience of being able to enjoy both of his sons' high school days with them up close and personal, as they were both students at Rosary and Trinity. Alex Seisner and his wife Beth now have a son, Isaiah, and Eric and his wife Sarah recently had a baby boy named Henry. Retirement will allow Mr. Seisner plenty of time to spend with his grandsons. While we'll miss the enthusiasm and fun you brought to school each day, and we'll miss the chants of Jerry, Jerry, Jerry at the pep rallies, we will always have the memories. Mr. Seisner, we wish you and your family all the best in retirement.
What I'm gonna miss most about Mr. Seisner, definitely being able to go to his class and like learn. Even if I'm not in his class anymore, I still go to him like to learn more about stuff that I need to know. Definitely going into adulthood, and also just hearing his voice all across school when he's yelling at some students or whatnot, or throwing chairs. Definitely, yeah.
Jerry teaches with such passion that history truly comes alive. I know that through the years my kids had him, we had some very lively dinner conversations. Thanks, Jerry. You'll be missed.
Even though you used to always waking me up out my sleep with the water gun shooting me, much success on your retirement.
The thing I'm going to miss most about Mr. Seisner is every time I had to go into his classroom to help a student, I would have a spontaneous geography quiz. And it always kept me on my toes because I knew if I had to go help a student, I better mentally refresh on all of the parts of the Middle East and the major oceans.
So now, my friend Jerry Seisner. Well, what I'm not going to miss is walking into his class for something like important and then being shot by a Nerf gun, or being put on the spot about a geography question like where in the world is, or just whatever. It just was dangerous walking into Jerry's room. Such a contrast between Jerry in classroom and Jerry at the meetings. That's what I'll remember.
When late August rolls around in a few months, Pat Whalen will be doing something he hasn't done in late August for many, many years, sleeping past 5:15. As a teacher for the past 44 years, Mr. Whalen has always had to be an early riser. Not anymore. In fact, along with traveling, Mr. Whalen lists sleeping in as one of his plans in retirement. Mr. Whalen has certainly earned that right over the past 43 years teaching religion at Rosary and then Trinity. Over those years, he coached JV boys soccer, began the development office at Rosary, served as senior coordinator in charge of discipline and senior events, was Christian service coordinator, was the religion department chairperson, and started GIFT, Growing in Faith Together, a spiritual development group for faculty members. If you ever came to a sporting event at Rosary or Trinity, you always saw Mr. Whalen at the admission gate collecting money and checking ID cards. Through all of these activities, Mr. Whalen has one special memory, knowing that students that he helped learn have become successful, faithful adults that are productive members of the church and their communities. Mr. Whalen also loves hearing from some of these former students that he was part of their development. Mr. Whalen and his wife Peggy, who is also a retired high school teacher, will now have more time to spend together along with their 3 children, Tim, Katie, and Brian. Mr. Whalen, we wish you all the best in retirement. Thanks for all you did for Rosary and Trinity throughout the years.
Mr. Whalen was one of the first people that I met when I started as campus minister at Trinity, and he does so much for our school, for the chapel, for just religion in general at our school. So I wish him all the best in his retirement.
The biggest thing I'll miss about Mr. Whalen is that he will just sass anybody, and it's just really funny.
Pat, I want to thank you for helping me grow in my own faith. It is through the things that you have organized and by your own example, you truly are living the faith. Thank you.
I know his class was somewhat hard sometimes and whatnot, and there was a lot of work, but I definitely liked the way he taught. He got the lesson through, and he was actually a pretty cool guy.
What I'm really going to miss most about Pat is his laugh. I don't know how many times you guys got to hear this laugh, but when he's laughing, it's like a baby laughing. It tickles your heart. So I'm going to miss that. And I'm really very concerned about who's going to do our, all that behind the scenes, at Mass and all the faculty faith sharing things that he put together, the spiritual piece here at Trinity. I'm going to miss that.